A new initiative here in Morgan County, and it's called the Helping Families Initiative. And it's, on its surface, it's a crime prevention program, but it's a whole lot more than that. HFI was started several decades ago in Mobile County by then District Attorney John Tyson. And the way, the issues that Helping Families Initiative, or HFI, the issues that are addressed by that initiative are two. The first one is truancy. And so with the issue of truancy, what's going to happen is we're working very closely with Decatur City Schools, and they're going to notify us when any Decatur City School student reaches 3 unexcused absences. When we get that information, we're going to write a letter. It's going to be a friendly letter from the DA to that child's parent or guardian. We're going to tell them, look, we've noticed that your child has 3 unexcused absences, and we want you to address the issue. We're here to help if we can. But what we don't want to happen is for you and your child to end up in truancy juvenile court. So that's really the low-hanging fruit for this program. The tougher issue that HFI will address is children who are misbehaved in school. The way that will work is that we will receive referrals from the school system with regards to misbehaved children. And once we get those referrals, then we're going to evaluate that student and their home. And we may do that by an in-office visit, a phone call, a Zoom meeting. But for the more serious issues, we're going to do a home study. We're going to meet them in their home. And once that information is gathered, then the lady who is spearheading my program, who is Becky Bearden, and Becky has done a fantastic job of setting this program up. Becky is going to present everything that she discovered during that home evaluation. And she's going to present it to our interagency team. Now, currently, the HFI program in Morgan County, our interagency team consists of 23 local agencies and organizations. And I was told that I would probably have a tough time getting people to want to participate, but I didn't. Once they heard about it, everybody, every agency I've asked, everyone I've talked to has been on board just like that, and I'm proud of that. Let me give you the list of those who are involved. Morgan County DHR, Community Action, Morgan County Juvenile Probation Office, Mental Health Association in Morgan County, Riverside Counseling and Consulting, First Priority, Clothe Our Kids, Morgan County System of Services, Decatur City Schools, Community Free Clinic, PACT, United Way of Morgan County, Decatur Utilities, Decatur Youth Services, Neighborhood Christian Center, Decatur Career Center, Southern Wellness, Decatur Police Department, Morgan County Sheriff's Office, the Mental Health Center of North Central Alabama, Alabama Cooperative Extension Services, the Morgan County Child Advocacy Center, Head Start, and Salvation Army. So that is a good group to work with. And so what's going to happen is when we get these referrals, this interagency team is going to meet, and the information that's gathered from the evaluation, the home studies, is going to be presented to this interagency team. So before HFI, what would happen is one agency would have access to a student. They would know about that student's problems, their issues, and they may be able to address one issue, whereas another agency that didn't know about them would not be able to address other issues. So when I present and Becky presents these students and their issues to this entire group, then collectively we can address a whole lot of issues if there's more than one for that student. So the theory is that we will have a collaborative and consolidated approach to address any problems that these students have, whatever their issue may be. And so our hope and desire in doing this is that by addressing these issues, that these children will be better behaved in school, and when they're better behaved in school, they're better able to learn, which is our goal. Let me give you an example. John Tyson's here, the DA, the former DA from Mobile, who initiated the first Helping Families Initiative program. And I'm going to steal his story. He had a young man in his circuit. I say a young man had a child. He was in the 4th grade. And one day at school, that child stood up and announced that he was going to kill the teacher and everybody in the classroom. Well, fortunately, they had an HFI program. They sunk their teeth into it. They did a home study. And here's what they found out. That young man, that his mother was not in the home, that his father was not in the home, that he was being raised by his grandmother. And when they looked in the home, they found out that there was no stove, no washer, and no dryer in the home. So they contacted the people that were on their interagency team. They went to work. The school system donated some clothing so that he could come to school with clean clothes, because kids can be cruel sometimes. That was happening to him. So they got him some good clothes. And a local business donated a dryer, a stove, and then a local church built a clothesline so that they could dry their clothes. They also sent the young man to a doctor. They found out that he was on a very bad track. He was harming pets in the neighborhood, so they knew exactly where he was going. And so they sent him to a doctor. They found out that he was psychotic, and the doctor prescribed him some medication. Well, they thought, okay, we fixed him. Now let me stop there. Before HFI, what would have happened to that young man is they would have sent him home. That's where the problem existed. And so it's very rare that you send a child into the problem and have it corrected. So they thought they had fixed this young man, sent him back to school, and it didn't work. They didn't give up on him. They dug a little deeper. They found out that the grandmother was illiterate. So rather than giving the medication that the doctor prescribed for his psychotic episodes, rather than giving that medication as directed, she was giving it to him all in the morning. And it wasn't having the intended impact on him that it should have. So they didn't give up. They devised a plan. And they sent some of the medication to school. The school nurse administered the morning dose and the afternoon dose. And then they had somebody from DHR or another organization go by and make sure that he got his evening dose. And the teacher said he was a new kid just like that. And I'd like to tell you that I know how that young man turned out. I don't. I've not heard the rest of that story. I'd like to tell you that he turned out to be a CEO or a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist. I don't know that. But what I do know is that HFI provided him the best opportunity he ever had to learn. So, HFI is going to have a big impact, has the potential to have a big impact on children who are misbehaved. It has the potential to not only impact that child, but their families as well, and even neighborhoods. Mr. Tyson tells a story about one child who had an issue with gangs. Law enforcement, who was part of the HFI program, found out about it. And they went in and took care of the gang issue in that neighborhood. So it can impact positively the neighborhoods of the child. It will also have a positive impact on the economy. It's my understanding that every murder committed in Alabama costs the taxpayers about $8 million. That is from the initial investigation through the end of incarceration. So if we are able to intersect with one child who is on the very bad path and that may one day get that gun in his or her hand and commit that murder and wind up in prison or on death row, if we can intersect with that child and take that child off the bad path and put them on the good path, then this program has paid for itself hundreds of times over. The other way that it could have a positive economic impact is, think about this. How are schools graded? It's based on attendance and it's based on test scores. So if through the truancy issue, if we improve school attendance, and if through addressing the behavioral issues, we better enable not just the problem children, but also the students that are in class with that child. If we can improve the learning situation at each school, then the grades are going to go up. The test scores are going to go up. What does somebody do when they're looking to move to a community? One of the first things they do is look at test scores. And so if our test scores go up, and somebody's going to move to North Alabama, and our test scores are improving, then they're more apt to choose Decatur and Morgan County as their home. Now, we're starting this program in Decatur City Schools, but I'm not ignoring Hartselle and Morgan County school systems. I had to start somewhere, and so Decatur has graciously agreed to be my guinea pig so that I can work the kinks out of this program. And so I'm hoping to very soon, in the very near future, to move this program into both the Hartselle City school system and the Morgan County school system. I also have to thank Senator Arthur Orr. He's been responsible largely for the funding that is necessary for this program to be implemented. I'm going to ask him to come up here in a few minutes. Guys, I've been practicing law for 32 years. 19 of those years in private practice, 13 years as your DA. And I've been involved in a lot of programs in my career. But I have to tell you, I'm more excited about this program and the potential that it has to do good in our community. I'm more excited about this program than any program I've ever been associated with. So I want to invite Senator Orr up and let him address you for a minute. Senator?
I'll be a lot briefer. I want to thank District Attorney Anderson for embarking on this program. He could have refused it. It's not mandatory. We're certainly pleased to fund it in Montgomery. I see Representative Terry Collins here, who is real passionate about education, and other elected officials. Commissioner Vest is here, and we got our 3 superintendents from Hartselle, the city of Decatur, and from Morgan County. Appreciate their attendance. So we got our sheriff, Ron Puckett, who's with us today. Got a school board member here, and Dwight Jett from Decatur. Perhaps others I don't see. But this is a team effort and a partnership, and I appreciate District Attorney Anderson taking it on, and all the agencies that are represented here today that he read out earlier that are going to be participating in this program. I came across a fact in a Wall Street Journal article a couple months ago that I found very compelling. And truancy is a large part of that. Truancy is a real problem, particularly after COVID. I saw something where Mayor Woodfin down in Birmingham said about 50% of their children were skipping school and were considered truants in that system. What a problem for us as society. But in the Wall Street Journal article, it said if you get a high school diploma, and therein lies truancy and the need to finish school and stay in school. If you get married before you have children and you get a job, the odds that you will not be in poverty are 96%. So 4% that you may be in poverty. So if you do those 3 things, so the social scientists tell us, that's important. And one of those legs is certainly getting that high school diploma. So I appreciate all of you all working to make this a reality, and certainly look at growing past Decatur City into Hartselle, into the county, and then other places in North Alabama. We've got other counties, other judicial circuits who are not participating in this program. And with John Tyson, the director, who started it all, as you heard, in Mobile, I hope we'll roll it across other counties and affect children positively here in North Alabama. Appreciate your being here, and again, thank you for those who have a hand in this or who will have a hand in it in Hartselle and across the county. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any questions from anybody? Senator Orr mentioned truancy. I learned something the other day that I did not know. A large majority of the people who are in prison for the commission of a murder, their first crime was truancy. So if we can address that issue, I think we've made a huge step in the right direction. Any questions from anybody?
Roughly how many students and families do you think this will help in Decatur City Schools?
Well, I would hope it would be very little, but I'm assuming it would be a good many.
What are we seeing right now as far as truancy, that issue of lack of attendance? What are we seeing right now, and why did you choose to kind of start this up right now?
Why did I choose to start it now?
Yeah.
Well, I looked at the program for a couple of years, and I had so much on my plate. But it got to where I saw that there was a huge need for it. And again, this is one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done professionally. And so I just saw that there was a huge need for it. I talked with Senator Orr about the implementation of it, and I got Becky Bearden on board to do it, so here we go.
And kind of a follow-up, how much is this going to cost, I guess, the city? How does that work? Because I know you mentioned that he helped fund this, so what does that look like as far as funding goes?
All right, right now the grant per circuit I think is like $85,000, and then we're hoping that the school systems will contribute some towards the cost of it, because they do benefit from it.
Sir, could you elaborate a little bit more on truancy? Is truancy an issue in Decatur City and Morgan County?
Well, any truancy issue is important. Okay, it doesn't matter what number, and I don't have the exact numbers. I do know that we sent out a pretty large batch of letters for truancy, 3 unexcused absences in Decatur City, but that was in November. So you started school in August, and our first batch of letters went out in November, so that's why it was so big. But I will say this, that we sent another batch of letters, I don't know how many it was, we sent a month or so after that, and we had 205 students that were repeats. So what that told me was that there was 205 families, 205 students that got our letter and went back and got their previous absence excused. Unfortunately, they had another unexcused absence and wound up on the 3rd unexcused absence list again, but it did have an impact, and so we're expecting that to grow. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
What is the current process for prosecuting a truancy case in Morgan County? And I guess, like, what is the punishment, the fine that the parents have to pay?
You would have to talk with Judge Waters about that. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on how often, every case sits on its own bottom. So it depends on how bad the situation is, how they have responded to other times that they've been in court. So it could be, potentially you go to jail for it, but we try not to go that route.
So the idea before there is punishment, before there's the legal system gets involved, is to introduce the families or caregivers to this program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's why I say it's crime prevention. It's crime prevention in a lot of ways, but it also is, our aim is to better our school systems and our communities. All right. Thank you, guys. Good job.
Y'all let me hear you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Tusk.
Hey, John. Hey,